The evening before Castle Donington 82, I found Francis Rossi of Status Quo in the residence lounge of an oldie-worldy hotel near Burton-on-Trent, where he was propping up a much-needed drink after a hectic day of travelling and sound-checking. After I'd set up shop and got myself a pint, we got to talking about the Rolling Stones, a band I discovered Mr. Rossi had never seen live. They definitely are an amazing band live, but they're in the same bag as you these days. I mean, so many people say to me, Quo are too long in the tooth for this sort of thing these days.
Well, I used to think that from time to time, and I used to think of myself, I don't mean the wrong way, but I used to compare myself with Lennon in terms of age. Careful now. I'm not that
I'm not
stupid.
saying anything, am I?
I may be stupid, I'm not that stupid. I thought at times when Lennon was 30 and he was 30 or 35, I thought, well, if he can still motivate me and thousands of others, and he's 40. When he was 35, I thought, well, if he can go 35, so can I. If he can go 40, so can I. If Jagger can, so... Because this rock and roll business grew up and became important some years back, in the early 70s, it became important to everybody. Everybody realised that it wasn't just a kid's thing, and businessmen realised there was real money in it, and so on. It grew up.
Do you consider that Quo could go on for another, 10, 20... I don't want to put a time on it particularly, but it seems that Quo are, I'm not saying an everlasting thing, but it seems to have an everlasting effect on people. People will always go for 12-bar blues. So do you foresee yourself providing that market?
Well, that's what we get now, as you say, that people always go for that 12 bar. You can't resist it.
No,
That's good, but you love it, right. But 10 years ago, somebody asked me that, and I thought, well, 10 years ago would be, 72? I remember saying to Colin, or speaking with Colin and various other people, said, chance. And I always say that if any band was unlikely to break, it was us. And if any band was unlikely to maintain that, if they did break, it was us. So you could have bet on us not holding on to it. And we did. What was the question? Start again quickly. You can't remember.
Well, basically, you're saying that you could go out of fashion.
No, what I'm saying is that every so many years I look at it, and if you'd have asked me in 72 will it last 10 years, I'd laughed my head off and said you were stupid for asking me. 5 years after that I was asked again, and I thought, well, we've had a good run now. It was maybe 76, 77. I thought we've had a bloody good, from any stretch of the imagination, from what's gone before you, and it's gone on until now. It could go 5 years. If I say 10 years now, it sounds stupid. It sounds like shit.
Yeah.
What's that stupid Burke? Fancy saying 10 years. I'll be 44 in 10 years. Oh, Christ, 43 in 10 years' time. In 5 years' time, maybe. Lennon did it till he was 40. Jagger's still doing it. I don't know. Rock and roll hasn't set its precedents. It keeps setting new precedents all the time in terms of how far it could go or can go, So I don't know.
Tell me something, do you remember a concept album called Exiled, which you wrote a song for?
I enjoyed that. We did that with Bernard and I, the producer.
I've got it at home, and really good.
Lovely.
And it didn't really take off, did it?
No, there were a lot of problems around that. There was contractual problems around that. Plus, Bernard knew this guy, this producer. I've forgotten his name. A friend of mine too, who he'd known. Bernard, my partner, who'd known as an engineer when he used to do demos some years ago. And he phoned Bernard and said, would you come and do some singing for me? This is what Bernard gets used a lot, to do singing. And he said, I'm looking for... He said, well, I won't come unless my partner comes. He said, well, it's strange you should say that. I need two people to do voices. So he said, well, you know who my partner is? He said, no. He said, but it's funny. He went, oh. He said, that's funny. We sent them a track. So I thought it was funny, and I remember this track, The track that he'd sent us apparently had been sent to us. We're in minor status quo doing it, which was Ships in the Night. Whether or not it was put to me like that, I'm not sure. I thought it was put to me as to do it as a solo single. So we go down, Bernard and I, and we must have spent, I don't know, we ended up totally re-singing the lead. We're supposed to do just back vocals, re-sang it, helped rearrange it, we helped edit some, and we had a lot of fun doing it because of all the voices that were involved. We really did enjoy doing it. And
did you consider releasing it as a single?
I think it was considered by the company involved, but I think it was something contractually that stopped them doing that. Great fun track to do.
Well, back to Quo. Has Pete Kershaw fitted in on the tour?
Pete, I can't say he's fitted in better than I expected, because I expected him to fit in as he did. But even saying that, he still has. He plays and sings. He's enthusiastic. That's not knocking Spud, but he's enthusiastic. He plays somewhat similar to Spud in terms of drive, and he likes to maintain his time for you. He won't overplay. He's not playing solos all the way through. But as I said, it's bonus that he sings. So
John wasn't very good at singing.
I think he could have been. I tried to encourage him a few times, but he suffered from the thing we all suffer from in the early days. If I say to you now, sing me a song, you wouldn't dare open your gob.
No.
Right, whether you were a singer or not, so we all have to go through that. And he could have said, to me, he sounded like, I remember joking with him one day, he had a voice somewhat like mine, only worse, even more monotone, if it nasally. But he could have done it, but he didn't. Peter has been singing for years, so we can use him as a bonus, if you like. But the main point is that while he's playing, whether it's Don't Waste My Time, Big Fat Mama, Roadhouse Blues, Caroline, Down Down, whatever it is, he's singing them.
Did he know them before he joined the band? Was he a fan of the band?
Not a lot of them. A lot of them he knew. He'd toured with us before with other bands, in support bands, and him and his wife are quite into Status Quo. But I don't necessarily think that he actually played them. It's the fact that he knew them, which really helps tremendously to know the song. If you're sitting there playing time, now I'm just sitting playing time.
Right.
It means nothing. If I sing, and in the bar, the piano, another now for my heart. The right one song. If I change to same time, change to and I'm already gone. Which is an Eagles track up on the border.
Yeah.
Time. You can sit there and play time to anything, or play drums to anything.
It helps you to sing.
But if you're singing it in the mind, hey, you're going to get off on it, because that's what it's about. It's what it's melody, song, tune. I remember being told in the very early days, which I used to hate, because I used to hate a lot of the old school show business stuff it was about. And they used to say to us, you haven't got an effing chance unless the postman can whistle it down the street. I used to fight against that. Also, I thought.
I can understand why they say that, though, because if you've got a good commercial hook line, it does sell songs.
It's true, of course it's true, yes. You pick the postman because he's supposedly, ordinary. We're all ordinary, we're all punters. I'm affected by the radio. When I put the radio on, I listen to what's on the radio. Either I like it or I don't. And I leave it at that. If I found out over the years that I remember hearing a single, Yellow River, by Christie.
Yeah, they came from Leeds, believe it or not.
I won't hold that against them. That's a joke, I always do that. Yeah. No, I really liked the single, and I thought, I do like that. And then I saw the band. This was in would have been 69, I suppose, 70 maybe. And this was the Image thing, which keeps creeping back in our business, which is bad. And I saw them and thought, no, I don't like that. Not perhaps as obvious as that, but that's the way it went. I went off it because of the image of the band. And I remember that was Sweet, and I remember talking with a guitarist in Sweet, saying that I could talk to him and find the two blokes, and I can hear the records, some of them, and like them, but I cannot stand looking at you. I told him straight, it wasn't that I was having a go at him, or I thought I was getting one up, but I was trying to discover for myself the thing about Image.
They didn't like their Image either. Talking to Brian Connolly recently, actually, he started on a solo career. The Sweet is still going, as far as I'm aware, but
that's good, because they're a good band, they're actually musicians. What I don't like the word musician. I like to call them good players. They were very good players in that band. The guitarist is very good, the drummer's very good. I don't know with the bass player. I suspect he's a good bass player.
I checked out an album recently that they did called Level Headed, which in fact has a classical track on it, completely classical. And if they're prepared to do a song like that, I mean, would you branch out into another type of music? Or do you think that's too risky?
I don't know. I've always the sort of status quo have come through quite a lot of changes. Some that the public have heard and some that they haven't. And I don't know, in 5 years' time we could be the ultimate MOR act, for want of better words.
I hope not.
Then again, well, you've got to understand that people, the so-called younger generation at the moment are going to be in their mid-20s soon. They're going to be almost in line for MOR, or the Americans AOR, adult-orientated rock. If they don't want middle-of-the-road pop, so-called. I mean, we all knocked ABBA for being middle of the road, and I'm mad for ABBA.
You like him?
Joking. How can you not like them? You cannot ignore that.
No.
They have melody, they have good voices, they have good songs. The tracks are played well, the albums are pieced together well. They have a bit for everybody. They have a bit for hard rockish fans, if you like. They have a psychedelic on the new album, on Visitors. It's just, you know, them and ELO are my favourites, but I've always had a soft spot for Jeff Lynne anyway.
I know you weren't particularly happy with your last live album.
No, it's a bunch of shit.
Right, well, do you tend to put that to rights in the near future with a new one, or what?
Well, we have a few live things on tape from the Prince Charles gig and wherever else, you know. But there's a danger of the video and all that going on, so I don't really know. We made a terrible mistake with that album. We weren't rehearsed, as perhaps near as rehearsed. We went and did 3 nights at Glasgow, and we recorded all 3 nights, and we thought the first night was far too erratic and messy because it's the first night, and that the second 2 nights would be okay, or one of the second 2 nights. And when we listened, we found that the first night was okay, mistakes or whatever, and we insisted that we weren't going to do that usual trip. Everybody, but at the time, it was groovy to have a live album. They were in vogue. And we were not going to do a live album, take it to the studio, dub it rotten, and con the kids by calling it a live album. We thought we were going to be very clever, record it, go into the studio, listen to it, check the one we wanted, and put it out, which is what we did. Balls up to all dodgy sound and whatever else. We could have made ourselves sound 100% better live, in other words. Kidded them on. We do sound better than that live.
I think
but that's one of our most popular albums, which confuses me. It doesn't confuse me, it just baffles me.
You say it was a load of rubbish, but I'm sure the kids appreciated the fact that you didn't put any overdubs on it and it was just left as it was.
Well, I don't know if they noticed because they buy various other live albums that are just as popular and so on and so on and so on. I think if we did a live one now, I'd do it that way. Record it as best. But mind you, we have the sound situation. Since that album, the sound on stage has changed considerably to try and create less overspill and get a better sound, technically recording, you know, technically it's a better sound on tape, while still trying to maintain some of that fire, whatever you call it, raunch, live thing. But no matter which way you do it, whatever way you do it, there's no way you can recreate. It's like this interview in this room. You can listen back to it and get so much of it, but you cannot get the atmosphere in this room when you listen back. Same in a gig or whatever else, wherever you go. You get so much and it's funny, it's not the same. But it was one of our most popular albums.
One of the questions that I've always wanted to ask you, my favourite track by you lot is a thing called Paper Plane, which you had a lot of success with in about 73.
I like that one.
Why don't you play it on stage anymore?
We did it for a while and it went out for whatever reasons, as they often do. And we try it from time to time. And there was one time we put it back in and it was kind of a dismal failure. To a point where it was almost embarrassing, where we thought we shouldn't do that to it, you know. We tried it this week and it was quite good. But there's a difference between, like we've often said, it took us, I don't know how many years of trying before we actually did Down Down. It sounded a terrible mess, and then suddenly it came together. The same, if Paper Plane comes together next time we rehearse, if it had come together last week, it would be in. I dare say it will be one day.
Francis, do you see much of John Coghlan these days? And
No, I haven't seen him since he left.
Really? You don't know anything about what he's doing with his new band Diesel? Well, it's not his new band. He had an occasional band with him.
Anyway, it was a thing that was underway. I hope he does very well with it. as far as I know, he's been taken care of. And we'll make sure that he gets, you see what I mean?
Did it come as much as a shock to you as it did to the rest of the fans?
No, because it could have happened to any one of us at any time. John had also got to various peaks in the last 5 years before that or so. And had said that he'd feel like leaving or he's going to leave and so on and so on. And I was only glad that when he did decide to go, he stuck to it, because I'm sure he felt better for it. I can sense the, how can I explain it? When we're not working, the longest we've had off, I think, is a year. And even during that year, you still feel this commitment, this, I don't know where it is, but you're committed to it, you owe something to it, or you belong to it, or something like that. I can imagine you must have got an incredible sense of relief, freedom, or whatever, saying, that's not there any longer. Fine, here's another, do something, earn a living, or whatever else. But I was pleased for him that he made that decision that time, after doing it maybe sometimes before that, and sticking to it. Plus, it gave us Peter and freshness, you know. It's good fun.
You usually prefer...
I'm losing it, so...
You usually prepare for a new...
Your eyes are worse than mine.
Yes, I know, we've both been drinking.
Your eyes are the eyes of a bloke who is drunk. What?
We could release this, couldn't we?
You
usually... Yeah.
Oh,
I'll admit to it, I mean, yeah.
Terrible thing to say, terrible thing to say.
Now, you usually prepare for a new album quite well in advance. Can you tell me anything about the new album that's coming out?
No, nothing at all, because at the moment we're still in the writing stage, and we've been talking about the fact that we get to a point where an album's coming up, and then we all have to write specifically for Status Quo, which I don't believe, and I don't think the rest of us do. I think it's the best way. It's better if we're actually writing as often as possible. When you were on the road 7 days a week in the earlier days, apart from this kind of high pressure stuff now, you used to be able to write, you know, play guitar or do a bit of sound checks much earlier. There's no hassle. You used to play a couple of hours and things would come together. So, what was the question again? Let's start again. No,
You're always forgetting what I'm asking you.
It's all right. It's because I get so far into it and I diverse from where I was to get back to the point.
Yeah.
You've forgotten the question.
No,
You're covering.
it's basically the new album. I was wanting to find anything else about it.
What we do about it, you mean?
Is there a working title?
No, not that I know of. As I'm saying at the moment, then it's time to write. So I was away recently with my partner writing some. I think the other's been writing some. Then you stop and write a little more. And rather than just say, well, we've got a Quo album to do, let's write some Quo songs. We're going to write songs and then say, oh, you could adapt this to Quo, or Quo could do this anyway. And so on. You know, at the moment, things are just being written.
Right.
We've had a big year, you know.
In what way? I mean, work-wise, really?
Well, the 20th anniversary thing, whether we built it up or everybody, the press built it up, whatever, it was a thing, you know, bands have been together 20 years and so on.
I always thought...
anniversary tour, plus then the Prince Charles thing, having that come off, having that coast to coast on TV and so on and so on and so on. We've never been too keen on publicity, if you like, to the saturation point. So we have to decide whether or not we've...
I always thought you were going to go over the top on the 21st anniversary rather than the 20th.
Well, I had this thing about it. People say, what next? Well, if we come out next year and say it's the 21st anniversary, it's a bit of a downer after 20. So I figure we'd make a bit of a shout about it if we reach 24, 25 maybe.
You're figuring on doing that, are you?
We all like to, you always do. It's the carrot in front of your nose. Everybody follows carrots in front of their noses. I'll do another tour and see what happens. And
are you frightened of retirement?
No, I don't think so. I look at retirement as an old age thing. When you think of people in rock and roll or whatever retiring, that means they cease to do as they've been doing for so long. Doesn't necessarily mean they stop earning money, which the word retirement tends to really mean if you go into it. It means there's no more income and you live on something else. When people say they're going to retire from touring or whatever else, they say I'm going to make records. Instead of saying, well, still need to make a living, so I've got to make records, but I'm fed up with being on the road. They go, no, I'm retiring. It sounds groovy.
You more than anybody should be fed up of being on the road.
Yeah, I am sometimes. Sometimes it's... You think, how the bloody hell did I get here when I didn't want to come? And then you walk out some nights on stage, you think, my God, if I didn't have this, what would I do?
It's a hell of a trip, isn't it, to see all those people?
Yeah, it's a love and hate thing, you know. You look at those people and they make me feel so good, you know.
You never
can't lie. If people lie to you and say that standing in front of 2,000, 4,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 40,000 people is not a lovely feeling. They're arseholes and they're bullshitting you. Or there's something wrong with them. Because if I take you tomorrow and stand you up and say, this is Mike, and they all go, whoosh, you go, they like me. We can't help it, we're built like that.
There's a wave, isn't there, towards you?
It's a wonderful feeling. If it goes like that tomorrow night, fine.
I hope it does.
But sometimes it goes like that and I feel I'm letting them down and they don't. And it's...
You give marks out of 10 for gigs, don't you?
We give marks out of 100, yeah. We figure we work at, after we're oiled in, greased up, we figure we work at 60 to 75% as an average gig. That's good going. 80 to 90 is, ooh, 100% you don't come across that often. 100% perhaps is a dream or is in the imagination. There is no 100% gig because of the whole...
There's always something wrong.
Not necessarily always something wrong. It may not be wrong for you, but it's obviously still there. So it could be a 100% gig for me, but for the others only a 90% because of...
Do you feel the vibes for this one coming up?
Ish. I don't like to build them up too much, so that they're an anti-climax. It's a terrible thing. But you work gigs, as I said, in a percentage, but the strangest thing is that tonight tomorrow night could be the most fantastic show ever. Everybody could have bananas. They could peel off, throw their clothes in the air, burn their clothes, riot. 4 million police have to come in to control them. You wake up the following morning, it's finished, it's gone. So if we played the most dire set tomorrow night, I keep saying last night, if we played the most dire set one band has ever played tomorrow night, fall on our faces, throw up on stage, fall off, the PA goes off, the audience get drenched, there's too much mud about, people are killed and so on. The following day what happens, it's gone, they forget about it. So in rock and roll, no matter how good it was tonight, it's gone. Tomorrow night could be the worst you've ever done. You come back feeling really down, but it's gone. You can't change it. I used to get that terrible feeling in the early days when we weren't selling records so much as drawing people. And we used to sell these places out and hold the record in various places. And you used to come back for 6 and 7 encores. Those were the days of I'd been out to brag how many encores you could do.
I remember seeing you then.
It was great. I remember seeing me then. Only a joke. You see, you threw me again. You wonder why I don't know. What was it?
I don't remember what the question was.
Your fault. You're supposed to be listening. I'm supposed to be spilling. Come back to the thing. Yeah. Wait a minute. Don't you chop me off. What are we talking about?
Do you ever wish that...
You're changing it.
I am. Well, I mean, you're floundering.
Rewind and I'll change it.
Do you ever feel that you wish you were back in those old days when you could reach out and touch the crowds?
No, I don't like to go back. No, because it's not possible. It's not on. No.
Because I know the Stones occasionally have done sort of commando-style gigs when they've just gone and done a small club. Would Quo ever do that?
I don't know. I've always believed that's part of image seeking to say we really want to go back to the people and play. And yet when you're down there, you're complaining like mad. We want to make it. We want better than this. We don't want to play in this carsy. We want to play to more people. We want people to like us. We want better equipment, better PA, better lights. As soon as you get it, you say, hey, there's either something wrong with you or you're lying. I don't want to go back and play in shit conditions. I'd like people to see us in the best conditions possible.
I think that's what you'll have tomorrow.
I hope so. Jesus.
Francis Rossi, thank you.
Thank you, and you didn't let me finish that point. But one day.